Welcome to the Fearful Fright series, where we will be reading with our favorite green ghoul, Grimmer. Now sit back and enjoy this twisted tale. Today our story is called Medusa's Sister Stheno, a tale of Katsuhito Fumio. The order came sealed in black wax, pressed with the crest of the Oda clan, a flower stamped so deep it tore the parchment fibers. Katsuhito Fumio read it once, then knelt, forehead touching the floor of the audience chamber. Above him, seated upon a raised dais carved with dragons and fire, was Oda Nobunaga, Emperor of all Japan in all but name, his presence sharp enough to make seasoned generals swallow dryly. "Entire villages have vanished," Nobunaga said. "No ash, no blood, only stone." Katsuhito did not look up. "The province is called Higan no Mizu," the emperor continued. "A forgotten land of marsh and mountain. My scouts do not return. My monks pray and go silent." Nobunaga leaned forward. "You will go where fear has taken root. You will cut it out." Katsuhito bowed once. "I will return with answers, or not at all. The road that eats men." The journey took 21 days. By the 10th, the roads were no longer roads, only mud paths swallowed by black reeds. The air grew wet and heavy, smelling of rotten old copper. The sun seemed weaker here, filtered through constant fog that clung to Katsuhito's armor like damp fingers. On the 15th day, he found the first village. It stood perfectly intact. No smoke, no voices, no animals. Katsuhito stepped through a hanging door curtain stiff with age. Inside, a family sat frozen around a low table, bowls raised, mouths open mid-speech. They were stone. Not statues carved by hands, but people stolen mid-life, every vein, every wrinkle preserved in gray terror. A child clutched his mother's sleeve so tightly the stone had cracked. Katsuhito felt his pulse thud in his ears. He moved through the village, counting. 37 villagers. 37 statues. All facing the same direction. Toward the marsh. That night, Katsuhito slept inside the broken shrine at the village's edge. The kami idols had been shattered, heads snapped off, faces scraped smooth as if something had licked them away. As he slept, he heard hissing. Not outside. Inside his dreams. The truth crawls from the fog. At dawn, he followed the villagers' gaze. The marsh stretched endlessly, black water broken by pale stone shapes rising from the surface, more statues, half submerged, their mouths filled with mud. The fog rolled low, thick enough to swallow sound. Katsuhito had taken only 5 steps into the marsh when the water rippled unnaturally. Then came the voice. "You carry death like perfume, samurai." The fog parted. She stood barefoot upon the water as if it were solid ground. Her skin was pale as moonlit marble. Her eyes, golden and slit, studied him with amused contempt. Where her hair should have been, serpents writhed, their scales whispering as they tasted the air. "I am Stheno," she said, smiling. "And you are very far from home." Katsuhito drew his katana. The snakes hissed eagerly. Battle of flesh and stone. Stheno moved faster than thought. The marsh exploded as she lunged, her body bending at impossible angles. One serpent struck for Katsuhito's eyes, he severed it mid-air, black blood spraying across his armor. Stheno screamed, not in pain, but in delight. "Yes, bleed for me." She swept her arm, and the water around Katsuhito hardened instantly, stone crawling up his legs like frost. Katsuhito roared and slammed his blade down, shattering the stone before it could reach his waist. The statues began to move. Stone fingers clawed free of the mud. Petrified villagers dragged themselves forward, joints cracking, mouths splitting wider as something inside them strained to escape. Stheno danced among them, laughing, her serpents striking from behind their stone bodies. Katsuhito fought like a man already dead. Steel flashed. Stone shattered. He kicked apart a crawling statue and used its falling body as cover, rolling beneath Stheno's strike and carving deep into her side. Her blood hit the marsh and turned it to stone. She screamed in fury and seized him by the throat, lifting him effortlessly. Her eyes burned brighter. "Look at me," she commanded. Katsuhito closed his eyes. The world froze, for a heartbeat. The charms sewn into his armor burned white-hot. The priests of Oda had warned him, use it once, or never. Light exploded outward. Stheno shrieked, dropping him as smoke poured from her eyes. Katsuhito did not hesitate. He drove his katana through her chest, pinning her against a half-submerged statue. The serpents thrashed wildly. He cut them down one by one until only twitching corpses remained. Stheno coughed black blood, laughing weakly. The confession of a monster. "You think you've won," she rasped. "Little human." Katsuhito twisted the blade. "Where are your sisters?" Stheno screamed, then laughed again. "We fled Greece when we heard what they did to Medusa. Trapped her, sealed her away by a human woman who feared her own desire." Her golden eyes filled with hatred. "So we came east, to lands that still believe in monsters." Katsuhito pressed harder. "Where?" "Mount Kurokami," she gasped. "Beneath the mountain. In the obsidian shrine, Uriali guards the gate. The other prepares the awakening." Katsuhito's blood ran cold. "Awakening." Stheno smiled, wide and terrible. "Stone is mercy, samurai. Pray you never see her open her eyes." Her body stiffened suddenly. Cracks raced across her skin. Before Katsuhito could pull his blade free, Stheno turned to stone, frozen in a final expression of triumph. The marsh fell silent. The mountain that breathes. Far away, Mount Kurokami rumbled. A sound rolled through the earth, slow, massive, like something ancient shifting in its sleep. Katsuhito wiped his blade clean and looked toward the mountain, where black clouds gathered unnaturally around its peak. He understood now. This was not an investigation. It was a warning. And Japan was already too late. Katsuhito Fumio began walking toward the mountain, knowing he would either stop the sisters or become stone among the countless others. To be continued.